But that's okay. That's all right. I'm an equal opportunity host. It's all good.
Share the love.
Share the love. So, talk to the folks a little bit about the history of Back Blues and Barbecue, because obviously people think we come out with these ideas about these festivals out of thin air, but there's a lot of thought going into try to figure out what type of events that would work in our community. So talk a little bit about the history and how that's all came about.
Okay, sure. And for everyone, as you said, it's the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue Festival. So during this segment, if I just say BBB Fest, everyone will know what I'm talking about, because that is a mouthful to say. Yeah. But last year, the history is not too long, but last year in 2014, we had our first annual event at the Douglas Municipal Gene Chambers Airport, and plan to have the second event there as well. For our community, the history is basically, we, as some of the other communities have been in tourism, we don't have the theme park attractions. Right. So what we purpose here is to build an event to attract visitors to our community with such as this. We wanted to build something that will really draw people and have an interest from all walks of life, all ages, all different interests, that can be something grand as we once had with the National Barbecue Festival. So that was our mindset and focus on putting together such a conglomerate of events together.
And let me kind of stop you right here, because I think people need to once again remember the National Barbecue Festival. A lot of people say, well, y'all ran it out of Coffee County, Douglas. No, that was a choice that the National Barbecue Festival group had made. They decided to go to Waycross initially, if I recall.
That's right.
The Exchange Club over there offered them a great opportunity, and really and truly, the National Barbecue Festival downtown, we kind of outgrew it downtown, as far as the space and size. The larger RVs and stuff were coming in here. It was just really a tight fit for them. Some of the downtown merchants were having challenges as well too. So it was very challenging for us to facilitate that need downtown, and then have to retrofit water lines and electrical and all this other stuff. So the Exchange Club just really over in Waycross offered a greater opportunity for the National Barbecue Festival. I think now, since Mr. Phelps has passed away, and some other, I don't know if they're doing the barbecue festival anymore.
No, not.
Yeah.
No.
So we decided, as Georgia and her team brought the idea, why don't we do something similar to that and facilitate it? But doing it back down here, downtown, was probably problematic, and we were going to run into the same problems.
You're right, because whenever we did host it downtown, it was 9 years of hosting it downtown, and we basically ran out of room for parking, and you can only have so many events. We had the barbecue teams, the vendors, and a little bit of amusement type activities. But with the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue Festival going out to the airport gave us a little room to have some elbow room, so we can add other amenities to it as well.
Right. So obviously it's birthed out of an opportunity from something that had started having some challenges here in our community, and added some other amenities onto it. And George is going to talk about the bikes and the blues piece a little bit later, to help you understand how that kind of morphed into what we have today. So glad that it all went together. That's kind of the history of it all, and I thank George and her staff for envisioning it. And this stuff doesn't come out of thin air. We try to look at a 3-year cycle. I think, now I don't want to speak for you, but I think at least a 3-year sustainable cycle. If after 3 years, if it makes, we make it stay.
That's
but after
true.
3 years, if people don't support it, participate, then we have to determine to scratch that idea.
You're right, Mr. Jacobs, with that. Staff and I, and when I speak, I'm definitely speaking on behalf of the entire city of Douglas and all of our organizers. But whenever we look at an event, we generally do give it 3 years to see if it's going to make or not be successful. One example is the South Georgia Outdoor Expo.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going into the 5th year with that now. It's proven that people love that event, and it's become an attraction. I know the first year that we started, we were very pleased to have like vendors representing like 9 different states coming in. So that's successful. One event that wasn't so successful, and I'm not embarrassed to say, but we started a home and garden show.
I remember.
And it was very nice, different, but the attendance didn't support the vendors coming in and everything. So after 3 years of trying it, we had to drop it.
Right.
We thought it was something that this community would be receptive to, but sometimes we miss and get it wrong.
That's right.
So guess what we do? We don't kill time there. We go on to the next thing.
Move on to the next thing.
And the next thing we went on to was this Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue Festival.
Right. So I hope that helps citizens, the people who are watching, and get a better understanding. You know, y'all are great determination whether we succeed on these things and if we continue with these efforts, because it takes all of us to make it go, whether you're participating, whether you're sponsoring, whether you're volunteering. All that is so critical. And I know what people always say, ain't nothing here to do in Douglas, Coffee County. Well, guess what? There are a lot of things to be engaged in, but you have to make a commitment to participate and get engaged. And it takes all of us to have, hopefully, some amenities that we can all appreciate at the end of the day. So glad that the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, we didn't even give the date yet.
We're going to give it. Well, and before we get into that, we hear the saying so much that it takes a village to raise a child.
Amen.
It takes a village to make this event successful. And I'm glad you said, because the sponsors, the volunteers, and we're going to give a list of sponsors before we leave today, but it takes many people supporting it. And last year was a rain out, so I would say to the community, if we want this event to be successful, spread the word, what you hear today on the show, because we definitely want everyone to come out and support it the second year.
Right. And, you know, speaking about the rain out, we did have to make a call in regards to that. The concern was for people's safety and their materials and items and things of that nature. It was just a freak of situation. It was actually not a twister or a tornado per se, but it was what they call it, straight line winds or something to that effect, and just really wreak havoc on the equipment and all the facilities out there at the airport. Probably sustained quite a bit. I don't know what the dollar figure amount was, but it was pretty substantial, so that we made a conscious decision to go ahead and cancel it at that time. But you know, as we cancel it, people still were trying to come. You know, and it really, and I'm be honest with you, I struggle with that thing after probably months on end, and you know, you got to make a call, and you made a call, and then people still want to come, and all the advertisement that the public information and y'all did, and I'm hoping that people will be committed to come just as much as they committed to come in the bad weather that they did last year. So we were very fortunate to hopefully do this again. So we're gonna segue into what's the new attraction for this year and what some of the amenities and the date that we got, because I think the date's a little different than what we were looking at from last year to this year. So talk a little bit about that.
Right. And with the date, I want to say to everyone, don't be surprised if we play around with the dates, because that's something we do too when we're trying to get an event established. Last year when we kicked off the first annual event, we hosted it in March. This year the dates is April the 10th and 11th, and as we said, it will be held at the Douglas Jean Chambers Municipal Airport, which is on 441 South. The event is open to the public on Friday from 1 until 11 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 until 5 p.m. Now the admission changes this year is $5 per person to come in, and if you have a military ID, the admission is $3, and then free for kids that are 12 and under. Some of the different type, even though we say Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue Festival, when we say bikes, we're talking about motorcycles. We also have a car show that is hosted and organized by Napa and Brooks Auto Parts, and that is a Saturday only event. We also, because this is a historic air base tied in with the airport, there's going to be tours also at the World War II Flight Training Museum. Also, we couldn't get an air show established for this year. That's something we hope to add in the future years to come. But what we will have again this year as well is like a vintage aircraft display, and we'll talk more about that in a little while.
Okay. Well, obviously, there's a lot of activity that we're planning for this year. Hope that you will avail yourself to come out. We did have to change it from the date they're concerned. The reason why, one, they try to optimize the weather conditions. But as you would appreciate, none of us has crystal balls that we can figure out what's going to happen in regards to these time frames that we set. But we have to make a commitment, and we did. As far as this date, we consulted several different groups. The folks that are on this committee, which is the Brooks Auto Park folks and staff, and from the city of Douglas, and several other teams that are on this. I think the Air Force historical group is
the
on.
63rd Preservation Group. Yes, that's
group.
right.
So we got a lot of folks involved that hopefully help us on this endeavor. So
yes, we have different subcommittees. The first one I guess we'll talk about is the motorcycle component of it. The motorcycle committee have been meeting, and these are the events that they have come up with. On Saturday will be the motorcycle events, April the 11th. The motorcycle show registration will be held from 8 until 12. Okay. And then the judging will be from 1 to 2, and then there will also be a chance for some 50-50 tickets that will be sold for a 50-50 drawing, as well as a poker run that will be held on Saturday as well. And the poker run registration starts at 8 o'clock, and the first bike out is at 9 o'clock a.m. Now let me go back to the motorcycle show. The entries, the prizes for first place, they'll get a trophy. For second place, they'll get an event t-shirt, and then for the People's Choice, they will receive a trophy as well. And then to participate in the poker run, it's a $10 entry, and also there's going to be a cash prize with this. The highest hand will get $350, and the second highest hand $250, and the worst hand, guess what? You even get some money with that too.
With the worst hand?
Worst hand, Miss Jacobs.
How can you lose?
You're going to get $100. I'm going to name it. So some great motorcycle events lined up, and I will say last year, I know we keep going back to last year and the rain out, but we had a lot of motorcycle riders to still come in who walked around because it was so close to the time for their event anyway, and they wanted to ride, but at the time it was pouring down raining. And for safety cautions, we just canceled it. But this year, as we said, if there's no lightning and no potential threat of tornadoes or any type of activity, we're going to let them ride out.
Move on.
We're going to let them ride out. Another segment, the blues music portion of the festival, I have to thank this person, Mr. Dunn Lewis, who's he recently retired from Kaufman Regional Medical Center and relocated, but he's still, although he's not in this community, he has helped us to line up quite a bit of entertainment this year that has generated a buzz. I mean, we get a lot of emails and Facebook posts and calls about the blues music, so I'm going to tell you who we have. On Friday, April the 10th, from 6 p.m. to 10:45. Our first act is Jerika Singleton, and he's from Jackson, Missouri. And he's going to perform from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. The next young lady, Samantha Fish, she's from Kansas City, Missouri, and she has quite a following. We have definitely been getting a lot of hits on her. From 7:30 until 8:45 is her time. And then our headliner performer for that night is Albert Castilla, and he's from South Florida, and his performance will begin at 9:15 to 10:45. And the reason we're kind of shutting everything down, we said the gates are open on Friday from 1 to 11 for the public. I'm going to get into the next segment, not right now, but because of the barbecue competition, those teams, we have lights out at 11 o'clock on that night. But on Saturday, April the 11th, we'll start out at 9:45 that morning with our entertainment. The first band is from Nashville, Georgia. They're called the One Way Out Band. They were with us last year, and they had a different name then, the Blues Alley, I believe, but now they're known as the One Way Out. Their performance is at 9:45 a.m. And then we're going all the way over to Dublin, Georgia, and we're bringing in E.J. Kite and the Blue South Band. That they're coming in, and we're going a little further away they're going to perform at 12:30, and at 11 a.m. from Memphis, Tennessee, we have the Daddy Mike Blues Band will be performing, and then our headliner for Saturday will be the Victor Wainwright Band, and they're from Savannah, Georgia. And they were very good, and they did get to perform last year. And I think it was raining a little bit that Friday night, but they still performed, and the crowd loved them.
Oh yeah,
loved them. So best I can tell, I don't listen to a lot of blues music, but from what I can hear from people you listen, this is a good lineup.
Yeah, that's a great lineup.
And